All right. Yeah, I'm back, Tammy. Good morning or afternoon or evening again, depending on where you're logging in from. When I say I'm back, I finished not too long ago my crypto talk for the iLearning Crypto private community. I do those on Tuesday and Thursdays. That is just for that community. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I do them for the public. But I said I was going to be doing another live right now to share a skill that is so important to learn. And this is why I say cryptocurrency education is key. It is everything so that you can navigate the crypto space and have confidence because you trust your own skills, your own knowledge, rather than a guru or somebody representing a project that they're already going to be excited for. They're always going to big up. I never listen to what somebody inside the project has to say because they're going to big it up. I want to be able to do my own research and figure it out for myself. And having that knowledge and that power really will set you apart and minimize your risk. And make no mistake, everything you do in crypto is a risk. If you're looking for guarantee, the only guarantee I can give in crypto is based on historical fact, is that over time, the market goes up. That's a fact. Bitcoin is the best performing asset of the past decade by far. Nothing even comes close. I just can't tell you when, how much, where. All we can do is get ourselves prepared for it. So go ahead, type in the chat box where you're listening in from. Again, as a disclaimer, I am not a licensed financial advisor. To be giving financial advice, I read the news, give my opinions, share suggestion, and it is up to you to make an informed, intelligent decision. Now, all week I've been talking about metaverse and NFTs, but today I'm going to go back to a project that I am heavily invested in, and I'm going to talk about the IMC token. When I first heard about IMC, I wasn't too excited about it because it was being represented to me as an affiliate program that, you make money by sharing it with others. And I've made a lot of money in my career doing that. But in the crypto space, what gets my attention is the project itself. How much money am I able to make off the project? Not just recruiting and sharing with others, but if I invest in a resource or an asset, what is that asset or resource going to be able to produce for me in the long term, short and long term? That's what I look at. So I did my research on IMC token and I couldn't sleep at night. Now, I missed on Bitcoin. I missed on Binance. So what I did when I heard about IMC, and this is why I know not too many people's educated, because if you knew what I knew, you would not be sleeping on this. No matter how much I speak up, people are funny. You're just watching. Why I spent more than 15K on this? Let me recognize some of you guys. I see Faye Harris from Temecula, Neil Brooks from Richmond, Virginia, Tammy Turner. See Angel Nieves, Lano Olengi from Maui, Marnita from Colorado, Jeremy Chamberlain, Dagmar from Lake Arrowhead, Shelly Hendricks Pearson from B-Town, Shelly, where's B-Town? See Mike Maines, Jeremy Chamberlain, Savannah, Georgia. Okay, so here's what I did with IMC, and then I'm going to show you a new comparison. I love comparisons. See, I don't just assume or make things up when it comes to crypto. I need to find, is there any other products out there that's similar and they've already done what you're trying to do? And that way I can kind of gauge. It's not going to be 100% exact, but I can get a pretty good idea of what something can do. And I am very conservative, which means I always operate on the 10% scenario. What if this project fails by 90%? If they're projecting to do this, if they fail by 90%, will I still be satisfied with the 10%? That's how I personally operate when it comes to crypto. I always look at the 10%. And if the answer is yes, then I do it. So even if it fails by 90%, I still win. instead of crying, oh man, this was supposed to do this and it didn't do it. It failed by 90%. I'm not crying about it failing by 90%. I'm excited that I'm still benefiting off of the 10%. That's how I operate. So I looked up first, I think my first comparison I used was Binance. And here's the problem with trying to compare with Binance. It was a little bit more difficult to do. IMC to Binance. See, Binance right now is worth $539 a coin. It is the largest exchange in the world. Coinbase is the largest exchange in the United States. Binance has 168 million coins. 168 million. It is important to know this number because that can tell you how high can a coin actually go based on supply and demand. How can Bitcoin be worth all the way to $69,000 a coin? Well, because there's only 21 million in existence. But if Bitcoin right now, if there was like double that, if there was 42 million Bitcoin, then the price of Bitcoin would right now, once it reached 69K, would be in the 30,000 range. Or what today's price, it would probably be around the $17,000 range, somewhere around there, $20,000 range. So this number is important to know. What is the supply? If this was 1 quadrillion, there's no way in the world this would be at $500 a coin. I don't care how great the project is. Why the ability to read the charts is so important. So I say 168 million, its all-time low was 4 years ago at almost 4 cents. 4 cents. Now I did a crypto talk, a late night crypto talk, and I said how $1,000 can change your life in crypto. Let's do that with this scenario. You put $1,000 on Binance 4 years ago, you would have received 39 tokens, 25,641 Binance tokens. What is the price of that today? If you did absolutely nothing, you forgot about it. You had that $1,000, you did absolutely nothing with it, forgot you had it. Now it's worth $539 a coin. 539. 4 years later, your $1,000 is worth $13 million. This is not make-up. This is fact. 4 years, you would have flipped $1,000 into 13.8 million. How many of you got on Binance? This is why I say I missed out on Binance, because when I saw Binance, it was around 60 cents, and that was the summertime of 2017. And at that time, if I think back, I hadn't even invested in crypto yet. I bought some coins, but when I say invested, meaning actually working the market, I didn't do that until August 2017. But at this time, I was still learning about crypto. And I was doing YouTube and Google, which is the most worst thing to do. I was still in learning phase at this time. And the summer of 2017, China had banned all crypto mining. They were the largest mining operation in the world, and they banned it, and all the miners moved to South Korea, Thailand, Philippines, things like that, Canada. And South Korea had just announced Bitcoin as legal. I think Japan did as well around that same time. I still remember because I was studying at that time. But had I put $1,000 then, that's millions today. The only problem with using this comparison with IMC, well, let me tell you what is a good comparison. BNB represents an exchange, and it is the Binance exchange. It's a native token. IMC represents an exchange. It's the IM exchange. It's a native token. IMC is using BNB, the Binance exchange, for their own liquidity. They are just paying Binance fees for the privilege to do so until they're able to really have enough liquidity to stand on their own. They're learning from the mistakes Binance made and bypassing it. IMC, though, where it differs is it has a max supply of 300 million. See, so IMC is 300 million. Binance is 168 million. So I basically chopped it in half. So I said, okay, if I'm going to compare Binance to IMC, then I need to chop this amount in half. It's 539. Then we got to go with like 255 or something like that, somewhere around there, per coin, as a possibility that IMC could do. But what if it failed it by 90% of what Binance did? Then I looked at, okay, if it fails it by 90%, then we're still looking at a $24, $25 coin for IMC. So this is, I'm giving you guys my thought process of what I did. So I said, okay, I'm even going to do it by today's price. If today's price, if I had $1,000 worth of IMC at today's price, that gives me 1,818. And if it fails by Binance by 90%, I'm still looking at about a $24 coin times 24. My 1,000 just grew to $43,000. All right. You see that? You see that picture? Then I said, that's 1,000. What if I had a goal of having my hands on 50,000 IMC tokens at today's price, 55 cents? That will give me 90,000, that's not right. 50,000 tokens. Oh, I bought it. I used $15,000. Okay, hold on. I spent $15,000 at 55 cents. That gives me 27,000. So to get, I'm going to need to spend about 27,000 now, because I spent 15,000. So if I spend 27,000, all right, right there, $27,000 will give me 49,000 tokens. 27,000. I'm going to round this up to just 50,000 because that's the point. So about $28,000, 50,000 tokens. And it does only 10% of what Binance did. And we're looking at about a $24 token. That's 1.2 million. And then I got excited by that. I said, are you kidding me? If I can do that in the next 3 to 4 years. See, and here's another number that I know. How many of you guys know this? I'm 45 years old. You know what retirement age is? In America, it's 65, which means if I was still working a 9-to-5 job, I retired 10 years ago. But if I was, I have to work for the next 20 years. If I was making $75,000 a year and I don't have to pay taxes on that, after 20 years, that equals 1.5 million. Working 40 to 60 hours a week, 2 weeks vacation, maybe a raise, inflation going up. Every dime I spend over the next 20 years is coming out of this 1.5 million. Or I spend about $27,000, get myself the IM token, and 3 to 4 years from now, it's worth $22, 24. I have 1.2 million in 4 years. Did I have to work 60 hours a week to do that? No. So then I said, okay, is there a better coin that I can match it up with? Is there another exchange out there? Yes. FTT. So then I compared it to this. I never just go with one. So I did it with Binance. Let me do another one. FTT exchange. The FTX token. What is its all-time low? $1.15 2 years ago. All-time high was $84 3 months ago. This has 335 million tokens. Isn't that closer to this number? 300 million? FTX token is a native token of the FTT exchange. Now here's the difference that I looked at between this exchange and the IM exchange. This exchange is not in the United States. So I did some research as to why. And the reason why is because they did not want to go through the regulations and all the hooplas and red tape of being registered in the United States. Therefore, they launched in Hong Kong. It's American who owns this company. He's a 29-year-old. He's the he's the richest billionaire under the age of 30. He's worth now, I think, 30-something billion dollars. He made 10 billion in his first 2 years from this exchange, and it's not even in the United States. Why? Well, let's look at this again. 2 years ago, $1.15. Let's do that same scenario of $1,000. If you had $1,000 2 years ago and you bought it, put it on this token, you would have 869 tokens. Based on its all-time high of just 3 months ago, it got to $84. Your $1,000 would have grown to 73,000. So again, I use that 50,000 token. What if I had 50,000 of these back then? But I'm not going to go by its all-time high of $84. What if it fails by 90%? It fails by 90%. So it's only $8.20. All right, $8. I'm going to go $8. Only 10% right. That's still $400,000 from 50,000 tokens that I spent $27,000 on. Okay, so how do I compare it to IMC? IMC Exchange, the IM Exchange is registered in the United States, in the state of Wyoming. They are following all of the regular red tape and KYC and AML and all that stuff to be licensed in the US, whereas FTT did not. They didn't want to go through all that. If you can be registered in the US, you basically can do business anywhere else in the world, because our regulations are far stricter than anywhere else. So when I saw that comparison, I nearly lost my mind. But then there's a third one. There's a third one. How many of you have heard of OKB? OKB Exchange. Let's look it up. OKB is a native token of the OKB Exchange. It's worth $31. Isn't that almost exactly where FTT is at 33? But look at this number here. Total supply, 300 million. IM Exchange, total supply, 300 million. It's identical. Identical. What is this all-time low? 58 cents 3 years ago. What is the price of IMC right now? 45 cents. You guys still with me on this? IMC is 45 cents right now. OKB was 58 cents 3 years ago. If I had put $1,000 on OKB 3 years ago at 58 cents, I would have 1,724 tokens. And then I sit on it for 2.5 years, 3 years. Well, when it hit its all-time high 8 months ago, I sit on it for 2.5 years. And it goes to $44. My 1,000 just grew to 75,000. So then I thought IMC. My goal was 50,000 tokens for $27,000. And what if it does the same? 44 bucks? That's 2.2 million. What if it fails by 90%? It fails by 90%. So we're talking about worth about $4. $4. That's still $200,000. Am I okay with that? See, this is how I look at it. Not best case scenario. I'm looking at worst case scenario. Would I be okay with growing my money from $27,000 to $200,000 in 2.5 years? The answer is absolutely yes, because what is that going to do for me in the bank? I had $27,000 sitting in my savings account. What is that going to be worth 2 years from now? Less than the buying power of what it is today because of inflation. Well, they give you some crappy 1.5% a year on your money. How much money did they make on my money? But I was able to flip 27,000 into 200,000 in 3 years. And that's worst case scenario. But now, let me really put you in dream mode. And let's talk about best case scenario, because best case scenario is not this all-time high of $44. Best case scenario is looking at this number right here. You see this number? 2.3 trillion. This is the total market cap of all crypto coins, where Bitcoin represents 38.4% of that number. Ethereum is 20.3%. Every coin has a representation of this number. But when this number rises, all coins rise with the rising tide. As Bitcoin goes up, they all go up. Let me give you proof of this as an example. When Bitcoin goes down, they all go down. So just looking at this chart right here, they all look similar when they goes up and they go down, all the coins. Sometimes there's different spikes based on, look at this, almost identical, Chainlink and Algorand. Look at this. Same here with Litecoin, identical, Wrap Bitcoin, Crypto.com coin. They're identical. So from experience, I know when this number goes up, every project goes up with it by default. But how high can this go? Okay. All the millionaires and billionaires that have been created from crypto came from the number that it's at right now. It got to a high a little bit more than 3 trillion. What were to happen if this number goes to $10 trillion? What do you think the price of Bitcoin would be? I already have an idea. We're talking about close to $300,000 a coin, 300 million, $300,000, $400,000 a coin. If you see this number at 10 trillion. But if Bitcoin goes to 300,000, 400,000 a coin, then what will Ethereum be? What would Binance be? What would Solana, Cardano, or Ripple be? I see Ripple going $10. I see it getting eventually maybe $100. So knowing that, what would IMC be? Well, I'm going to go back to Binance for an example. Binance is at $500 right now. Its all-time high was $686. In my opinion, I could see IMC potentially, not a guarantee, going anywhere between $300 to $500. Let's say it goes to 500. 500. And I still had my 50,000 tokens. And it took 4 years to do this. Not 3, but 4 years. I've got 50,000 tokens and it reaches 500. That's 25 million. This is my best case scenario. That's my best case scenario. Will it do that? I don't know. Could, it couldn't. My worst case scenario is still 6 figures. By default. It's just a matter of how fast can that happen. Some can predict that this goes to 10 trillion in the next 24 months. Others say in the next 5 to 10 years. It all depends on mass adoption and how fast crypto is growing right now. I hope this makes sense because I understand how to read the charts. And when I see this, I don't need a representative of IMC to tell me how great their project is. I look at it myself, do my own research, do my own comparisons, see if there's anything else out there that's similar. What have they done? And you probably never heard of these coins. And what IMC could possibly do following suit. What if it does just do what OKB did and went to 31 bucks? 50,000 at 31. That's still 1.5 million. And that's exactly what you would have got from OKB if you got on it 3 years ago. But IMC is brand new. We are where they were 3 years ago. It's at 45 cents right now. So what do you think this is going to do in 3 years? So you still want to play around? No, I'm not going to get any more tokens. If you're in the game, really get in the game with what you can afford to do. Sweet spot is probably that $2,000 range. 1,000 at best for you. Why? Because let me tell you what, if you don't have this right now, if you have at least $1,000 worth of IMC tokens, this will be your greatest Christmas present for yourself. You have 2,222 IMC tokens. And it goes to $20. That's $44,000 from $1,000. Will that impact anybody? If you still think, oh, that's too high, what if I just got the $500 pack worth of IMC tokens at 45 cents, 1,111 tokens? And what if it does what OKB is at with $31? Your 1,000 is screwed to 34,000. What if 1,111 it does with Binance? Now where's Binance at? $535. Your 1,000 just grew to 594,000. I mean, your $500 just grew to 594,000. If you want to know how to get your hands on the IMC token, send me a private message or get back to whoever is showing you this, and we'll show you how. The affiliate side, yeah, that's great. I don't care about it. This is what I care about. This is how people become crypto millionaires, and how $1,000 can literally change your life. And I've got to run. I've got another meeting in a couple of minutes. I'm also going to be doing a special late night crypto talk tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. And the topic is going to be, what do you do when you have limited resources in crypto? All right. How to manage that mentally for yourself. So that's going to be our topic tonight, because I struggle with it daily. You only got limited resources. You can't do everything, but it's what you do, where you do, how you do it, how to make it work for you. Feel free to share this with everybody. I'll post this up on YouTube as well. But it's just an exciting time to be alive. The greatest economic shift in wealth in the history of mankind, and how one project can literally turn your life around. But it doesn't mean you have to put all your eggs in one basket. It's just being smart about it. All right, everybody, take care. I will see. I got a batch presentation in 1 hour. Then iLearning crypto presentation at 8 p.m. Eastern. And then after that, IMC presentation at 9 p.m. Eastern. And then I'm doing late night crypto talk right after that, 10 p.m. Eastern. So I got a busy day. So I'll see you guys later. Bitcoin Brandon out. Bye-bye.